Доброго времени суток, с вами Kerrgan. Мне пришлось запись прервать, потому что на мне игра вылетела, я запустила ее заново. Я надеюсь, у меня тот файл сохранился. Сейчас дойдем до нужной мне сценки. Давайте Дрезденские войны. Я просто смертная. Дайте играть с такой игрой, авторитет как ты. Ты знаешь, тебе лучше бежать здесь. Король Дрезден, есть не шутки плохие. Ни хрена Олиси 16 хитов отобрало. Вперед, мои войска! Рыцари, орлы доблестные, олени гордые, смирдоновые сыблицы, бей гадов, гони их за шею с моей столицы. Слава королю, пей до дна, руби с плеча. Вслед за королем Ольса смеется смит, они пожатались, дыша виды и парами, одеты кто в шугу раз, королеве песни. Смешное зрелище, вот только демоны, которых они играющие втаптывают в голову, стало совсем до смеха. Это рать, с гостничем вот бора, смотри-ка шатаются. Дин хочет хочет стрясаться от хохота, я это читала, потом мне вылетела игра. Красивенько. Так, игра, не вздумай вылететь, скотина. Ой. Привет. Дратути. Вы кто? Это имя Медай? Невероятная тишина опускается вдруг на город. Ее разрывает торжественный звук труб, доносящий будто издалека, отовсюду и ниоткуда. Все взгляды обращаются к огромному винторажу, украшенному главный храм города. Он светит мягким светом миг спустя. С него на камень Дрездена шагает одинокая фигура.
Knight Commander, at last we meet.
Невозможно узнать имя Дай, богиню сошедшую мир смертных. Ваши спутники прячут лица в силах изречения. На бед демон дрожат, горожане падают вниз. Взгляд божества обращен лишь на вас. Смотрите, это ж богиня!
Indeed it is. I suppose you are asking yourself why I am here. Gods must not interfere directly in the affairs of mortals. But what is happening here, in the world wound, is no longer the concern of mortals alone. And this is proof. This fortress has witnessed so many horrors and miracles. It makes me wonder how it still stands.
Богиня на мгновение отводит глаза от вашего лица, кидает Дрезден, хаос, оставленный недавней битвой, и появление вашей силы.
The power that lives in you is alluring, unhinged, and can break the laws of reality itself. It is dangerous. You have secured another victory. But in exchange, you have let your followers fall into the grip of insanity. Is this truly your path? Do you really hope to prevail over chaos with more chaos?
Да, хаос.
But I did not come here to reproach you, or to bewail the fate of the unfortunate defenders of Dresden. I wish to stop the forces of evil and defend Golarion, both from Dascari's violent rage and from Nocticula's insidiousness. But that is not my only goal. I have come here to restore justice, for justice is the birthright of all. That's why I hail you as a heroine who has triumphed over the demons many times. At the same time, I grieve for you, as for a soul that is caught in a web of demonic deceit and villainy.
За время своего крестового похода я добился больше, чем других крестоносцев за 7 лет. Почему надо попрекать меня моей силой?
I am not here to offer reproach. I am here to warn you. In that moment, when my poor herald was being torn apart by monsters, he found the strength to send me a message about what he had learned in the abyss. You were in Illusionera, where you spoke with the Lady in Shadow and the Architect of the World Wound. They confessed what they had done to you, but they did not reveal the whole truth. Both you and this
Мне сказали, что я
unfortunate
помру.
world will have to pay dearly
Он
for
просто
the
не
power
дослушал.
that they so generously bestowed upon you. But all is not yet lost. That is why I have come.
Сила дрозновся, двигаются напротив сияющей богини, с звонким смехом проникает темная тень на птику. Собственной персоной рядом с ней стоит орел варляж, безмолвно глядя на богиню с холодной яростью.
Who here has been taking my name in vain? Ah, it's you, the inheritor. What's this? Our worst fears have come to pass. The gods are flocking to Golarion. This merry little tinderbox could ignite at any moment, reducing the material plane to dust.
Суку произносит силой медаль так, словно это изящное оскорбление.
I did not come here to fight.
Oh, really? I didn't realize you were good for anything else. Forgive me, that was unfair of me. Judging by your successes over the last 100 years, fighting is not your forte. After all,
Блин, я
the
ее
wound is
обожаю,
still there,
Мактикулу.
as far as I know. So why are you here? If you have come to meddle in my affairs, don't expect me simply to stand aside.
Вечеринка со всем селе. Кто прибыть этим? Кайден Калин.
The two of us will be more than enough. Listen to what I have to tell you. If she wishes to be present for this conversation, so much the better. Do you hear me, Nocticula? You and your servant are under no obligation to leave. I have come here to shed the light of truth. Let us see if you both can withstand its merciless radiance. I cannot change the flow of mortal history by force. After all, the world wound is their doing, although committed at the behest of the abyss. But sometimes force is unnecessary, and truthful words are all it takes.
The goddess who was
Ariel
mortal not so
Holden
long
Weiser.
ago is eager to judge us for our sins now. My sin, to be precise. What lies behind your eagerness, proud Iomade? Righteous wrath? Or perhaps fear? Watch out. A simple mortal woman has learned how to grant powers to others. Powers which are beyond the wildest
какие у
dreams
крылья
of many
красивые.
imperial lords. This must be stopped, forbidden, taken away immediately. After all, what need will we have for all these arrogant gods once we become their equals?
Silence.
Холодный цвет Мактикула
It is
солитарил
impolite to interrupt your elders. But you know, Inheritor, she does have a point. What are you going to do now? Break my weapon, which has made so many victories possible, and only because she received that weapon from my profane hands, and the entire affair must therefore be profane also? What real reasons do you have, save those born of your envy, your capriciousness, and your suspicions?
My reasons are quite real, as you well know. That is why you appeared here in such haste, is it not? You have woven a delicate lace of half-truths, Nocticula. From you and your servant, the Knight Commander has learned that she is bound to the world wound, that she is slowly dying because of its influence, and that she is yet capable of closing it. But you withheld a crucial piece of information.
That is true.
Она
I
пропустила.
tried to tell you
Он
back in
царил щит по 70
Illusionera,
раз,
but
а
I was
смотрит
not
на гневную
allowed to.
богиню, только на вас.
It is an unavoidable consequence of this process. To stitch two planes together as I have stitched Golarion and the Abyss, the soul of a mortal must be woven with the essence of the Abyss. To undo this seam, the original soul, the key, must be ripped apart. No one could survive such a process.
То есть я умрось, закрою язву, умрось и не закрою.
It is true.
В голосе Инесс слышишь скорбь.
Now do you see the perils of accepting a demonic gift? No matter how much power the abyss gives you, that power will always be tainted by lies and misfortune. This is the justice I promised you. The right to know the whole truth, and not to be a plaything in the hands of abyssal spawn.
Ногтекула, ты пыталась скрыть от меня.
Trying, you say? I successfully
Демон
hid
слух
the
перевернул
truth from you
руками.
for as long as I deemed necessary. Are you expecting me to explain myself? My goal is to close the world wound, not to grant you a happily ever after.
А если откажусь от этих сил?
You will live.
You will lose everything that makes life worth living.
You will spoil a brilliant endeavor and destroy the lives of thousands of mortals who will be devoured by the legions of demons coming from the abyss. Aside from that, you won't do anything extraordinary at all.
Что ж, я наконец понимаю все правила.
Yes. The power that Nahindrian crystals grant you will bring about nothing but your own demise. The branches of the tree of sin are vast and verdant, but its only fruit is death.
No, we're not quite finished with the revelations
Вот
yet.
Орел очень неожиданно диковато
Few
веселость.
secrets remain to be revealed, but they will be worth the wait. Does this look familiar? Do you remember the similar wound above your own heart? I have given you enough hints. Come on, ask me the question I have been waiting for.
Мгновение руки чародейки, что меняет свои облики, будто спадает покров. Сколь тонкий, почти незаменимый глаз, но смутно мешал зрению. Он умножает то, что было сильнее и скрыто. Глубокую, несушающую рану сердце Марилы, та пульсирует и исторгает все капли крови. Я получила свою рану. Потому что ты, Арила, срастила мою душу эссенцией бездны, когда расширил яз. Вопрос. Почему такая же рана есть у тебя? Не потому что, открывая язу, ты используешь как ключ собственную душу.
That's right.
Вот
And
полезно,
this
Арила,
means that
одобрительно
the world
торжествующая.
wound actually has two keys.
Отлично, я принесу тебя в жертву.
Good question.
Ногтекула по-новому с хищной улыбкой сваривает Арилу.
I have wasted so much time chasing the key to the world wound, and the key was right under my nose this whole time. Arilu, my love, come over here.
Арила не кажется ни испуган, ни загнанной в угол. Она едва заметно кивает, потом делает подчиненный жест рукой и исчезает, будто ее и не было.
Wait, I said wait! That little bitch. I knew she would betray me sooner or later, but I never expected such an idiotic
Ногтекула
stunt.
мило улыбается.
But everything seems to be falling into place quite nicely. You see, you don't
Я встаю на
have to
сторону
die
красотки
after all.
Ногтекулы.
Arilu opened the world wound.
Потому что она
And
хотя бы
Arilu will be the one who
пиздит, но
closes it,
честно говоря, что она
whether she
пиздит.
likes it or not. Although someone will need to catch her first, and this will require certain powers.
Yes, Arilu Vorlesh will pay for her crimes with her life. Her flight confirms that our suppositions were correct. But now we know that the world wound can be sealed with her blood. You have no reasons to remain indebted to the abyss and indulge the queen of the succubi. Reject her gift and secure your victory while being the person you were before Arilu Vorlesh corrupted you. Win as a mortal and become a legend among mortals.
Твой этот ангел кинул меня, твоя королева меня кинула, и ты хочешь убить его
She's
мало?
talking rubbish. True, we gave you the power, but it was you who chose how to wield it. It belongs to you, and it will remain yours, so you can do whatever you want with it. But first, you must use it to close the world wound. You aren't going to catch this world's most powerful witch, and a half-demon one at that, with your bare hands, are you?
Ну, я знала, что у Арила у нее фиолетовое пятно было. Богиня и лорд демонов смертно осуждающие. И я хочу спросить совет у соратников. Что об этом думаете?
After I rejected my demonic past, I lost some of my previous abilities. It was difficult, but I coped with it. You are stronger than me, so there's no way that you won't get through this.
Don't even try to tell me that you are seriously considering rejecting your power. Power grants you the freedom to do whatever you wish. And you are prepared to simply toss it aside to become a nobody?
Your power doesn't lie in magic tricks. You know it doesn't. Your real power is inside you. You can win without tricks. I will help you.
As a cave monster who's going to grow old and die in about 10 years' time, I can tell you this. There's no power in the world that's worth selling yourself out to the abyss for. Being the invincible companion of the magical commander was fun and all, but we don't need it. It doesn't really matter how much magic they heaped on you. You're the commander because you have the heart and mind of a true commander. Screw your power. Don't betray yourself. That way, we'll win.
I don't see any reason for deliberation. Your power is chaotic and capricious, and it originates from a demonic source. I doubt you can even control it. Heed the words of the goddess. Reject it. And then we will hunt down Maria Vorlesh and deliver the punishment she deserves.
Ну, они в натуре все против моих сил.
Iomade has spoken. What more is there to say? If there's a way to get rid of this demonic filth,
Да
do
не
it.
была там сила.
I do not think the source of your power really matters. What matters is how you use it.
Вот хоть кто-то за.
Someone pinch me. We are standing in the presence of the most pompous goddess in the world, debating whether we should listen to her or send her packing along with her invaluable opinions. I shall remember this moment for the rest of my life. Even as I stand in Pharasma's court, I shall tell this story to anyone who will listen. As for your question, by all means, tell her to go to the abyss. The power is yours, and yours alone.
I hate it when they corner you and demand answers out of you. But fine, I'll tell you what I think. With you, I've always had my freedom, Chief, so I'll speak freely. Be who you are, and don't count on gifts from nobody. You gave me the same advice back in Alishanira, remember? And I've never regretted following it. Maybe you won't have the powers you had before, but do you really need somebody's permission to do what you want to do? That's what it's all about.
In another situation, I would have said this was all nonsense. But when we started working together, you were an extravagant and artistic person, but now your powers are influencing you more and more. You're losing your sanity. And I'm afraid it won't be long before you turn into a raving lunatic who goes around swearing that the moon is made of cheese.
Your powers are interesting from a theoretical point of view. You are an experiment started by Arilu Vorlesh, and terminating it before it is complete would be foolish, not to mention impolite.
На секунду, у меня к тебе вопросы.
If you have questions, ask away.
Теперь, когда мы решили спать Арилу, что ты привязан, ты еще хочешь, чтобы я сохранила получить мне силы?
Of course I do. Firstly, you'll need those powers to catch Arilu and bring her to Threshold. Surely you don't think she'll willingly fall into your hands, and the demonic hordes will politely make way for you. And secondly, the powers Arilu gave you protect you from dying before your time. None of us want the wound to kill you prematurely. You are extremely useful to me alive. After all, if you let Arilu slip through your fingers, we can always go back to the original plan for closing the wound.
Почему ты скрывал от меня, что я погиб, закрываю мировую язву?
Because if I'd told you the truth, you would have refused to do it.
Ногтевой сладко улыбается.
But you're not angry with me, are you? After all, everything has worked out perfectly fine. We found another key. So now you can live and enjoy your life. Provided that you catch Arilu, of course.
Арилу сама ясно понимает, что она тоже ключ. Зачем?
Apparently. She understood that her secret was about to be revealed anyway, so she decided to leave in style. What human female over 100 years old wouldn't feel flattered at being the center of attention? Although she could have other reasons. She obviously wanted us to understand everything and immediately rush off in pursuit of her. She's probably been preparing for a war of all against all for a long time. And now she wants to wage it on her own terms. Expect treachery and traps wherever you go. No, let's think. She's hidden in the abyss before. She won't dare to return there now. Not only to my realm, but to any other either. Even if Baphomet and Discari both take it upon themselves to guard Aurilu personally, that won't stop me from sneaking in, slitting her throat, and leaving undetected. And she knows that. If I were her, I would hide in a place where the powers of her enemies were uncertain, and her own power was close to unlimited. I say you should look for her here, in the world wound.
Тебе не страшно стоять перед лицом богини?
Tut tut, how rude! I wouldn't say the girl is that hideous.
Ногтикула демонстративно смерит ему, дай оценишь взглядом.
Far from perfect. Her body too, to be honest. But all in all, not bad. I've seen worse.
Your theatrics are too transparent to offend me, demon. At least, they can hardly offend me more than the very fact of your existence.
Ты действительно планируешь использовать меня, чтобы стать богиней?
That is nothing but the wild speculation of a little girl who gained celestial power through no merit of her own, and now fears that others may do the same, forcing her to share her place in the spotlight. Do I want to become a goddess? Of course I do. Who wouldn't? Can you help me with that? Sadly, no. Of course, Aurilu used to blather on about how her brilliant invention could bake gods like pies. But between you and me, the cleverer the inventor, the larger their ego becomes. So far, she hasn't managed to create anything stronger than you. And, no offense, but you're no match for any deity.
Но если мне нужно поклоняться, я стану богиней. У меня больше нет вопросов.
Very well. It's time for you to make your decision then.
Прежде чем принять решение, хочу тебя кое-чем спросить. Илмедай.
Ask, and you shall have your answers.
Ты ведь сама получила божественную силу звездного камня. Чем мои силы хуже?
My ascension was not accomplished in one day, and even the test of the Starstone was only one of its stages. I did not merely gain power. I embraced a sacred duty. Your power, on the other hand, stems not from long hours of study, not from trials. It is not the natural talent you were born with and carefully honed throughout your life. It is the result of an evil soul's deranged experiment with the blood of dead abyssal lords.
Ты видел, что стал с твоим героем? Это ты отправил в бездну своего героя, или он пошел по своей воле?
He acted on his own noble impulse, and I did not stop him. I also did not try to dispel his misconception about you being my chosen one.
Это называется джедайская правда,
But
милочка.
both celestial beings and mortals can be mistaken.
Или исландская.
She doesn't lie, sure. She merely withholds some of the truth. For the noblest of reasons, of course.
Ты заточила страж камень целое воинство. Почему ты с ним так поступила?
Every one of my angels volunteered for that mission. They all knew what kind of watch they were going to keep. They knew that it would be a hard and exhausting battle, but that the lives of mortals throughout Golarion would depend on it. Alas, angels' minds can be as fragile as the minds of mortals. In less than 100 years, many wavered and wished to break the oath they had sworn.
Тебе ведомо, что стало с твоим Геральдом.
I blame myself for allowing them to take on a burden that was too heavy for them.
Он на меня обиделся и бомбанул
My
и улетел.
herald,
Глубокая печаль
my
пускает
loyal
инструмент богини.
companion was captured, and now demons are using him to attack Dresden.
Сходим.
They are holding him in the Ivory Labyrinth, Baphomet's realm of the Abyss. It is a place I cannot go, not even to save my faithful friend.
Мне еще с Бафомета
For
нужно
doing so
спиздить
would start an
оружку.
interplanar war. Right now, as we speak, Baphomet's servants are torturing the hand of the inheritor. Tormented and anguished, he reaches for you with his thoughts and his soul. I cannot tell if he sees you as a great unfulfilled hope or a last chance. But Baphomet knows well how to exploit such desperate yearning. He has turned my herald into a source of power to open temporary portals. They do not last long, but they lead from the dungeon where the hand of the inheritor suffers, right to your doorstep. Baphomet does not need to lead his armies through the rifts. Now he can send them right here. As long as my poor herald remains in the hands of that monster, this will not stop. I cannot say if it is still possible to save him, or if putting him out of his misery is the only way. I cannot openly ask you to intervene. But if you decide to do so, you will be helping both yourself and the one who chose the martyr's path when he followed you into the abyss.
С момента, как я получила силу начали избраны, почему-то я развеяла это заблуждение.
At first, I did not know who you were, or where your powers originated. This was revealed to me only when my herald offered up his dying prayer from the depths of the abyss. And following his desperate plea, I sought to confirm my suspicions. Until that point, I had observed you without intervening. After all, your crusade was securing victories, the first Golarion had seen in many years, so even if it was not I who had sent you into battle, it felt unfair to undermine you.
In other words, our Imperial guest had no problem with your power, as long as she didn't know where it came from. She didn't even share her suspicions with her own herald. And after all that, someone dares to claim that demons are the most deceitful creatures?
У нее нет трусов.
You should not blame someone else if you base your accusations on vague suspicions rather than solid proof. You call my behavior deceitful. You, of all creatures, who kept the commander ignorant of the fate you had chosen for her? Indeed, the insolence of demons knows no bounds.
Так я же знала уже, что я умру, если бездна будет это. Почему ты сейчас решила из этих смертных?
As I have already said, I am here to open your eyes to Nocticula's lies and to prevent more calamities in the future. You are at a crossroads now. I will not force you to do anything, but you needed to learn the truth and have the chance to cleanse yourself.
Перед тобой, лорд демонов. Почему не уничтожить прямо сейчас?
I could, but then every other demon lord would decide that he or she was next and stand against me. In response to that, the Imperial Lords would take up arms. Then Hell, Heaven, and Elysium would join the conflict. A war would break out, one which mortals could not hope to survive.
Почему Рилу сама навелась? Ты понимаешь, что она тоже ключ.
The impulses that drive a soul as black as hers are beyond my comprehension. Perhaps she was startled by my arrival and decided not to bother keeping a secret that was bound to be revealed. Or perhaps she is up to some cunning scheme. Be on your guard. The architect of the world wound will surely try to bring you down. For if she truly is a key, then it must mean that she will die sooner or later due to the influence of her own horrible creation. And that means that sacrificing you is her only chance of survival.
У меня больше нет
It is
вопросов.
time to make your decision then.
Я приняла решение.
I am waiting for your answer. I hope you will choose wisely.
Quite right. Make your choice, and make it the right one.
Я оставляю силу Трикстера, идите вы нахрен. Я загандошу Арилу. Я швырну их в бездну, я ее подожгу. А остальные у меня, они закрылись. Я продолжу быть Трикстером. Так, у нас там жирные демоны, берем чем больше шкаф. А, вот, я хотела взять внимание еще. Блин, ну я их знаю, ладно. Нет, давайте возьмем мифический безудержный смех, он может покруче будет. Знаете, хоть буду брать то, что я не знаю. По-моему, это прекрасная штука для трикстера. Блин, Алисия это все, сука, знает. А вот это она не знает. О, 2 беру. А что еще? Ух ты ж! Это оздоровительная яма. Класс. Выбор сделан, все, если согласитесь, присутствие. Неужели я брошу бывшую пыльш? Неужели ворву большую шутку? Как она так близка к концовке.
Your pride will destroy you, and perhaps all of Golarion with you. But I shall not intervene now, so as to avoid causing even more suffering to this world. Farewell.
Lady Aurilla's experiment goes on. You know, girl, if it is successful, I will immortalize it in my encyclopedia, and I will mention your name too. Then I suppose I'll finally have to try to remember it.
It would have been so foolish for you to reject your powers. So many victories, so many achievements lie ahead for you. Well, go now. Capture Aurilu, and prove which of you is making the best use of her invention. I'll be watching you.
Ногтикул Келли вам подмигивает. Послав из душ поцелуй, демон лорд исчезает. Ох, наконец-то. Длинный диалог закончился, могу сохраниться, что у меня игра не вылетела. Но еще слежка ногтикул ни к чему хорошему не привела для скотобатона. Можно будет, наверное, ее взять для моей Азаты, не знаю. И может помочь ей вознестись, там еще что-нибудь. Хотя лучше взять дар от плюшки. Она же скуба. Взять ее покровительство. Плюши-оруши. Она чуть пошатывает. Так, продолжим в следующей серии. Всем пока-пока. Я сейчас вернусь.